Now we will apply KVL at the output side. Okay. Here output is nothing but the drain voltage. Output is nothing but your drain voltage, that is VD. You have taken the output voltage from the drain. Okay. So VD is the output voltage. Now, what is the drop across RD? What is the voltage drop across RD? Here you have the current ID through RD. So the drop across RD will be IDRD. Okay. I repeat, VD is the output voltage. ID is the current through the device. So IDRD is the voltage across the resistance RD. Understood? Actually, the output is nothing but VD. So this much output you need. This much output you need. Total power supply is VDD. I'll tell once again, the total input power supply is VDD, out of which one portion of the voltage it has dropped across RD. So what will be the output according to you? This you have to answer. I will keep on asking the question. I will tell once again. ID is a current which is flowing through RD. So the drop across RD is IDRD. The total power supply is VDD. You are expecting this much output. Clearly, I have mentioned this is your output VD. So to get this much output, you need to have some equation, or you need to consider some drop, or you need to avoid some drop from the supply. This is the total supply. Out of that, some have dropped across RD. The amount of voltage that has been dropped across RD is nothing but IDRD. Only the remaining voltage is coming across your output terminal. What is that output?
Is it VD is equals to VDD minus IDRD?
Very good. Very good. So VD is equal to VDD minus IDRD. So that is the KVL equation what we have applied here. Okay. VDS is equal to VDD minus IDRD. Even though I have mentioned VD in the circuit diagram, but please ensure that VD is same as VDS. Please try to understand VD is same as that of VDS. Can anybody tell why so? Because the source is grounded. Okay. So whenever you are mentioning the voltage with respect to drain, means automatically the reference terminal is with respect to ground only. So you are trying to measure a voltage at the drain with respect to, okay, you're trying to measure the voltage at the drain with respect to source. That is why you have mentioned VDS here. Okay, instead of VD you have mentioned VDS here. Okay. Now I told you VD equal to VG. Why VD is equal to VG? Why VD is equal to VG? Because there is no potential difference across the resistance, because through the resistance the current is zero. Earlier I have mentioned, okay, in the previous link I have told that there is no current flow through the resistance, means the potential difference is zero. So VG is equal to VD. If VG is equal to VD means, why can't we write VDS as VGS? Isn't it? VD is equal to VG. So VDS could have replaced by VGS. That is why I have written this equation. Okay. So instead of writing VDS is equal to VDD minus IDRD, now you have written VGS is equal to VDD minus IDRD. Hope it is clear for you. Now what I will do is, I will take this IDRD along with the VGS. So this is minus, so minus IDRD, I will take along with the VGS, so that the total voltage VDD, now it will become equal to VGS plus IDRD. So this is the total power supply, will be splitting along this gate source terminal, and the remaining voltage drop will be across RT. Okay, just you have rearranged this equation, like minus IDR, it will be going along with VGS. So VDD equal to VGS plus IDR. Now, is this fine? Now, based upon this equation only, you are going to explain the working. Okay. What is our objective of biasing circuit? Which circuit you will prefer? Which circuit you will prefer? The one which is offering better Q point stability, isn't it? circuit which is offering better Q point stability or operating point stability, that only we will be applying in all the high-end applications. Okay, so here we have to find whether this particular circuit is meeting our expectations. Understood? So consider that again, ID increases. Due to some reasons, ID try to increase. So when ID increases, what will happen? Of course, the drop ID RD will increase because ID is multiplied by RD. No, if due to some reasons ID increases means ID RD will also increase. But what about this VDD? Is there is any change for VDD? VDD is power supply. You have a fixed battery in your circuit diagram. So this is fixed. This is not going to change. So if this is not going to change means some sort of increment, whatever you are feeling in this term, that must be compensated somehow. Are you getting my point? IDRD is increasing, but I am telling that VDD is constant. Why VDD is constant? Because it is a battery power supply. It is DC only. It's not going to change. Okay. So VDD is fixed. It is not going to change. It is constant. So to maintain this constancy of this particular equation, this increment parameter it need to be compensated by corresponding decrement in VGS. For example, if this IDRD, if it has increased to 2 volt, suppose it has increased to 2 volt, then that 2 volt you need to decrease in VGS so that VDD is constant. But you won't do that, automatically it is going to happen because VDD is constant. Okay. So whenever you feel a small increment in ID, that will automatically decrease VGS. You know what will happen if VGS is decreased? The gate voltage, it is becoming less positive or more negative. That means through the channel, the current will be flowing very less. Yesterday we were talking about the MOSFET working, isn't it? Once the channel is induced, what happens? Whenever you increase VGS, then only ID increases. Otherwise, ID is not going to increase. If the channel, if the gate voltage, gate is the control. I told you, gate is the control terminal. So if the control voltage is very less, or if it is very less negative, and very less positive or more negative means channel inducing will not happen. Current conduction will not happen. Okay. So initially we had a small increment in ID. So later that increment it has suppressed. Automatically it has suppressed. Who has suppressed? This VGS has suppressed. How this VGS has suppressed? Because VGS become more negative. Okay, please wait. Sorry. So here what we have done is, what did we told? Yeah, ID increase. So ID RD increase. So correspondingly VGS will increase. VGS decrease means the gate voltage, the control voltage becomes more negative. More negative means current conduction will not happen. So already it tried to increase initially. ID was trying to increase initially, but later it got decreased because VDD was constant. Okay, so this is what is known as negative feedback. As a result, ID remains constant. Now, please read this particular paragraph and try to define which is acting as a negative feedback or which particular resistance is offering the negative feedback here. Which is offering the negative feedback here. It is RG because RG is being connected between the gate and drain as the feedback resistor. Okay. Any doubts? So here also we are trying to keep the Q point stable. As of now, we have discussed three different biasing techniques. Now going to the last biasing technique, fourth one. This is biasing using the constant current source. Okay. So can you recall the previous biasing techniques? In the first biasing technique, just we have trying to use VGS alone. In order to fix the Q point, we are using only VGS alone by using some potential divider network. The main disadvantage is that hardware is more because you are having more resistance in that particular hardware is more. Again, we are not getting the compensate, I mean, Q point in a stable manner, like what to say, this ID is drastically, it is getting changed with respect to the temperature variations or some external parameters. So that is not appreciable. Whereas in the second case and third case, by using some degeneration action, we are able to maintain the Q point stable. Okay. In one case, it was RS. In the second case, we have added RS. And we discussed what is happening when RS increases. When RS increases, the slope of the load line decreases, and later we are getting stable Q point. And in the third case, instead of using RS, here we are using RG as the feedback resistor, which is offering the degeneration action. Okay. Now coming to the fourth case, by using constant current source. So out of these four, biasing techniques, the most promising one or the most promising approach or the efficient technique is your constant current source biasing method. Okay, this is the most efficient one, which is going to keep a stable Q point or which is going to ensure a constant current flow through the device irrespective of any external parameters. Okay, whatever changes happens in the circuit, whatever changes happens in the load, whatever changes happens in the source, whatever fluctuations happen in the source or load, all time I is going to be, you can't ensure that the electricity board is supplying same power supply or same source characteristics is always constant. You can't ensure. Maybe it will be 230 volt at one point of time, maybe it is 190 volt at another point of time. So it may be fluctuating or some sort of transients will be or glitches will be there in the supply. So that is going to reflect in the power supply also. When we convert that AC to DC, even after some sort of regulations, still we are expecting some fluctuations. These fluctuations in the source or fluctuations in the load. What is load? Load is any electrical appliance that is going to operate with respect to one circuit. If you have designed a circuit and if you have connected that particular circuit to a load, that load will work. And provided your design parameters are good enough. Suppose you have designed an amplifier. What is its use? Unless if you're not connecting any load, can you make that particular circuit into use? You can't use, no. You have to connect a load. So that load is nothing but your loudspeaker, which you are connecting along with the amplifier circuit, whatever you have designed. So through loudspeaker only you are able to take the amplified voice, isn't it? So always there should be some load that is operating along with the circuit, whatever you have designed. So maybe there will be some fluctuations in the load. For example, I have designed one circuit now, I'm using one load today, but later same circuit I'm using tomorrow with respect to another load. I would have connected another load in the same circuit. So there is load changes. So in spite of the load changes, in spite of the fluctuations in the power supply or the input signal, this constant drain current through the MOSFET has to be ensured for the proper amplification. Okay, so for that we are going to handle this particular biasing technique. This is done by constant current source. Here a constant current source. This is again a different circuit actually, but diagrammatically I have represented it with a just one round shape symbol I have mentioned like I. Arrow mark indicates that this is a current source. But basically this particular circuit you need to design, or the designers have to design this for getting a constant current. If you fix this particular source in the source terminal of the MOSFET, this is your MOSFET and this is the source terminal of the device and this is your constant current source. And you have fixed this constant current source at this source terminal so that the drain current that is flowing through the MOSFET will be same as I. It is not going to change. Neither it will be more than I nor it will be less than I. It is going to be fixed. That is appreciable for any product or any circuit where the biasing it should be appropriate. Okay. So, but the thing is that the circuit will be complicated. Means we have to design another circuit for maintaining this I. To maintaining this constant current source. Okay. Excessive power dissipation will happen, excessive heat dissipation will happen. So for controlling that and all, you need to have some extra or some heat sinks and all you need to understood. What is the advantage of the circuit? Advantage is I will remain constant in spite of any external changes in fact. Now how we are going to build that I, or how you can achieve that particular I. So for that only we are using a current mirror circuit. That is known as current mirror. Current, what do you mean by current mirror? In the current mirror circuit, we are going to maintain a load current I, which will be equal to a reference current IREF. Okay, always the load current will be same as that of the reference current. So initially I will be maintaining a reference current and that reference current will be same as that of load current. So how we are maintaining the reference current? The reference current can be designed by appropriately fixing the resistance value R, which you can see in this particular figure. In this figure, you have the resistance R. So this R is going to fix this IREF. Understood? That IREF will be equal to I. And this I only we are using in the previous circuit. So this is a main circuit actually. I told for fixing this I, you need to design another circuit. That circuit is nothing but your current mirror. Understood? So current mirror is nothing but we are trying to maintain a load current whose magnitude or whose value is exactly same as that of the reference current. That reference current IREF is passing through the resistance R, so that the value of R is going to determine this IREF. Okay, the value of R is going to determine this IREF. Now from your side, I wanted you to tell how this IREF you can calculate by using R. How you can calculate IREF using R. I told R is going to determine IREF. So how you are calculating this IREF using R? Anybody?
With help of ID1, sir. Sorry, theta 1.
What is it?
With help of theta 1, you can calculate IRF or something.
No. This is transistors. This is Q1 and Q2. Okay, this Q1 and Q2. These are the two.
Oh, that's Q1. Okay.
Yeah, these are two transistors.
Okay,
That is simply a label only. Don't confuse with these two symbols. I told that this IRF is determined by R. The value of R is
Okay.
going to determine IRF, but how?
IRF.
But how? See, IRF is flowing through R. At one end of R, you are having VDD. At the other end of the R, you are having, what is this? This is connected to, this point is connected to gate. So what is the voltage at this point? It is VGS. Understood? These 2
Yes,
points are,
sir.
yeah, these 2 points are connected. At this particular point, you're having VGS, so that VGS will come over here as well. So the potential difference is, what is the potential difference? VDD minus
Is equal minus
minus this voltage. What is this voltage? VGS.
VGS.
Yeah, because I have connected these two terminals by using a perfect wire. So whatever
Okay.
the voltage that is available here, that will come over here. So the difference is VDD minus VGS divided by R.
Okay.
Current is nothing but potential difference divided by resistance. Okay. So by using that, I have fixed the I reference. So whatever current you want, for example, in ICs, in data sheets and all, they'll be specifying like this particular IC will have maximum capacity of this current, or this particular transistor will have a maximum saturation current of this particular value. Like that they'll be specifying. So what does it mean actually? That particular IC will have a maximum capability of current handling so much milliamps. Like that they have specified. And how we are maintaining that particular ampere? By fixing appropriate resistance in suitable circuit elements. Okay, so here you have used a resistance R. So by using R only, you have fixed IRF by applying just Ohm's law. Okay, so VDD minus VGS divided by R, that is IRF, and this IRF is going to be equal to I. Okay, that is ID2. This IRF is nothing but ID1 because IRF is passing through Q1 only. So IRF is equal to ID1. ID1 is a drain current of Q. ID1 is a drain current of Q1. ID2 is a drain current of Q2. But our intention is to make ID2 equal to I. Okay, ID2 should be equal to I. That I should be equal to IRF. So by arranging these two MOSFETs like this, we can claim that this is acting as a mirror circuit, thereby whatever the reference current you have fixed, that reference current will appear into the load. Okay. Now, this is the equation for writing that reference current. That is VDD you have, minus VGS you have, divided by R you have. Apart from that, one more term is there, because if I would have applied a ground, then this need not be considered because this is 0. But here I have taken a negative power supply here. Okay, this voltage is less negative than 0, so that a convenient amount of current can be flown through this particular mirror circuit. That's why I have taken negative power supply here. So to design the value of I reference, you have to consider this also along with the numerator. Just now I have I have considered VDD and VGS alone, isn't it? VDD minus VGS by R only I have considered. But now I'm telling, since instead of ground, I have taken a negative power supply like minus VSS, this potential also need to be added along with the numerator. Okay, so that is why VDD minus VGS minus of minus VSS is plus VSS. That is why it has become plus. So plus VSS whole divided by R. So by using this equation, we have designed IRF. Understood? Now, this, what is I here? I is nothing but ID2. I is nothing but ID2. And you can write that ID2's equation like this, because this already we have studied in the first part of this module, like equation for saturation region of operation. So many numerical problems we have solved by using this equation. So that also I have written. Okay, half Kn dash W by L2. 2 means second transistor. You have Q1 and Q2, isn't it? So this is a second transistor, and VGS minus VT the whole square. And what about the first transistor? This is the equation for ID1 of the first transistor. The only difference is here W by L1. Here it is ID1. Here it is W by L1. is the W by L ratio of the first transistor. The second one, you are doing W by L ratio of the second transistor. Now you divide these two. So IRF by I equal to, why I have written IRF here? Because ID1 is equal to IRF, isn't it? ID1 is equal to IRF. As you can see, ID1 is equal to IRF. It is same. So equation 1 is for ID1. That means it is applicable for IRF also. This is same. So when you divide equation 2 divided by equation number 1, you have IRF by I. Understood? Equation 1 by 2. Equation 1 LHS is IRF. Equation 2 LHS is ID2. Equal to, right hand side everything is cancelled. Half is cancelled. VGS minus VT is also cancelled because it is same. Why VGS is same for both the device? Can anybody say why VGS is same for both the device? Because gate and gate it is shorted. Source and source it is shorted. So whatever the voltage applying across this, that is coming across this also. So
Because it's a common connection, sir.
yes, good. Because of the common connection only, VGS is same. Okay. So when you divide the two equations, that VGS minus VT, the whole square term gets cancelled. This term gets cancelled. Half cancelled. Kn dash also cancelled. Because we are taking similar MOSFETs. If we are taking two devices which are quite similar to each other, their Kn dash will be same. Kn dash is, yesterday I told you, I don't want to repeat that. Kn dash is equal to mu n into COX. It is constant, I told. It will vary with the device to device also, I told. But here, as far as the mirror is concerned, the two devices are very much similar to each other. Okay. Mirror means if you are seeing your face in the mirror, it will be exactly same as whatever you are actually looking like, isn't it? Will be, your face will be exactly same whatever it is seeing in the mirror also. So that in the same way, if you are designing a mirror circuit, current mirror circuit, you are supposed to take the two transistors very much similar to each other, so that only this K and dash is same. K and dash will be same. So Kn dash is cancelling, VGS minus VT is cancelling. So the only remaining term in the numerator is W by L1. 1 is subscript. 1 means it is for Q1. 2 means that ratio is for Q2, like that. Now you just make it reverse. I mean, take the reciprocal. So I by IRF equal to, I by IRF is equal to, tell me, I by IRF is equal to W by L to the base 2 divided by W by L to the base 1. And you can take this IRF to the right side, so that I is equal to IRF into W by L to the base 2 divided by W by L to the base 1. Okay. Now, in what case this I becomes IRF? I told you our objective was to, our intention was to make this IRF and I equal. Whatever you have designed IRF, how did you design IRF? By using R, isn't it? So by using R, you have designed IRF. And our intention was to make the output current same as that of IRF. To make this, what you have to do? Can anybody tell? These should be equal. I equal to IRF. So what you have to do?
Sir,
Hmm.
then this WL2 and WL should be 1.
Yeah. It should be same, not one. It should be same, so that they will cancel
Okay,
each other.
same.
They will be
Yeah.
cancelling each other. Yeah. So that is what is known as aspect ratio. Aspect ratio should be same. W by L is known as aspect ratio. That aspect ratio of the two transistors, when it becomes same, means that will get cancels. So I will become IRF. Okay. So under this particular situation, you can say that you have designed a current mirror. Whenever you are able to satisfy I equal to IRF, at that particular situation only, you can say that you have designed a current mirror circuit. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So this is the fourth circuit, biasing circuit, whatever we have designed. Till now, what did we studied? Important. 5 minutes. Okay, let me continue. Five more minutes. I just want to conclude. That is the thing is first we have started the working of MOSFET. After completing the working, then we have gone through the biasing techniques, right? Or different biasing techniques. So in the first biasing technique, it was rarely used. Why? Because we were facing some difficulties in the Q point stability because of variations in external parameters and ID parameter. Then by using the second and third technique, that is by using RD and RS, degeneration feedback methods, we were able to make the Q point constant. But out of all these four cases, the last method was very good. Advantage is that you are able to maintain the Q point very much stable because of the usage of a current mirror circuit. What is the intention of designing current mirror circuit? You are trying to maintain a fixed I which is equal to IRF. Okay, I is equal to IRF. IRF is at your hand. A designer can design his own IRF by appropriate taking R. Okay, appropriately you can take R and you can fix IRF. So whatever you have fixed IRF, that will come over to I. Is nothing but your device current. Okay, so that current mirror circuit will act perfectly only if the aspect ratios are same. That is important aspect. Okay, if the aspect ratio W by L of Q2 and W by L of Q1 are same, means that keeps 1:1 ratio, isn't it? Whenever you can satisfy a 1:1 ratio, then only IRF will become I. Once you can satisfy IRF equal to I, your circuit is okay. Your biasing circuit will be okay. It's fine tuned now. Means irrespective of any variations with respect to supply, load, or whatever the external factors have changed, you are going to maintain a constant current flow through the MOSFET device. So that is the intention behind this biasing technique. Okay. Now next class I'll be continuing. I mean Saturday, I think. Friday I don't have class. Okay. Next I'll be continuing Saturday. Okay, I'll finish this particular module. Okay, Saturday. Few more problems we
And
have.
can you share the note, sir?
I can share the note, but before that you need to add yourself to Google Classroom. Then only I will share. Today evening I will share.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.